Hello, everybody. This is Daniel with Daniel's Bullion Coins. I have my sweet wife Ingrid here today.
Good morning.
And we're going to take some questions.
Okay, first we want to start off with the comments from that we've received over the last week or something. When do I sell?
That is a really good question. And we've talked about this way back in the past, but we're going to take a deep dive today on when should I sell. And the short answer to that is when the Dow is fair value with gold. In other words, they're on par. So back when we had the economic collapse of 08, 09, gold came up to 2,000, the Dow came down to 6,000. Instead of letting fair value come in where they would have met at approximately 4,000, the gold would have been 4,000, the Dow would have been 4,000. The government intervened and printed money and immediately caused the stock market to rebound. And we got into a really weird price per earnings situation where the value of the market was done on the greater fool mentality rather than the price per earnings and fair value being there. Now, sometimes people say, well, why is that like that? What makes that situation reality? And the reason is because of the labor that it takes to dig gold and silver out of the ground. We've talked about this before, but we're going to connect it to when is it time to sell.
Yeah.
So one guy's digging gold and silver out of the ground, one guy's panning, another guy is planting wheat and harvesting it, another one's milking a cow, and they come into town at the end of the week and they trade on Friday equal labor for equal labor. And what happened is a big fat man came into town and he set up shop and he said, hey, let's use these pieces of paper. And it reminds me of a funny story. I'll just interject here. Jordan, you know, she was my little girl, and back when she was little, we were traveling and she wanted to spend money on everything. And I'm telling her, hey, we just have to limit our budget, you know. Well, she would start coloring money.
She loved to color.
Loved to color money. So we pull into the gas station and I tell her, well, we have to put $100 in the gas and we have to buy some food and then you can spend whatever you want after that. So she's coloring this money. She says, Daddy, here, give him this. And so I went in and came back out and I pretended like we were running off. I was like, let's go. He took it. It was so well done. He thought it was real. And her face just turned pale. Daddy, go back. I just made that money up. I said, oh, you did? It looks so real. Well, it's just paper. It's just coloring crowns, you know, that this big fat man, back to our story, the big fat man is doing.
He's lazy.
He's lazy. And he gets off, starting off, you know, selling this thing that, and then he starts robbing the labor.
Yeah.
He starts robbing the labor. He starts overprinting and his little coloring crowns. He's making money. That's all he's doing, his ink and his paper. And it has BTU value. It doesn't have the labor that the gold and silver and the wheat and the milk have in it. So he goes along and he starts robbing and stealing and defrauding and running up debt and overprinting. Am I describing the government?
Oh, yes, I think possibly.
Just could be describing the government and our situation right now. So what happens is eventually the people who are laboring revolt. And they start to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't like the way this is going.
It's not fair.
You're spending, you're getting us in debt, you're fraudulent, you're buying votes, all these things that we see, these political robbery.
Yeah.
And so they start to revolt and they start to say, okay, let's bring back some sort of civility to the situation.
Right.
And so it's sort of like a child now. We need to get back to the correct system where the stock market has a price per earnings, it's a fair value, and the laborer can be restored.
Yes.
And it's sort of like a child trying to, for the first time, flip a pancake in a pan.
Oh, that's a good description.
And and you're watching them and you're like, okay, well, the government is trying its best to do something that it's never done before. Trump and the whole administration.
Yeah.
And the childlike part of it comes in when you start to have the screaming monkeys like we talked about last week. that, or is the media again, they're pressuring the
Yes.
child, and the child feels unsecure because it's hearing these voices. But we need to turn the system completely over.
It is. It's a total
Upside
revolution.
down, complete revolution, and we're talking about China.
That's my next thing. My bullet
So it's
point I was
fair
going to
value.
ask you.
So we wrapping up fair value. So the laborers start to say, hey, we need fair value, and so the stock market's at 40,000, gold's at 3,250-ish, and those two are going to meet somewhere in the middle, and they're probably going to pass each other because of people get sick of it. Back during the Depression, when the market crashed, it was a whole nother generation before the market ever recovered, because people don't want to go back in it again.
Yeah. I wonder if well, we don't know, but so China's been so much in the news this week.
Yes.
About, how they're being so stubborn about their tariffs. They won't.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us why you think. What has made it so lopsided?
Yes. Well,
China.
The problem is the child labor. You
Yeah.
see, we don't want to see it in our face in our own country that we have that. So we have child labor laws.
Yeah.
But the WTO excludes them from
World Trade Organization.
Right. They're in the WTO, but they're excluded. They have third world status or whatever. And that allows them to use children, and it allows them to pollute the environment, to run a tariff on everybody. The tariff on us before Trump started this was 67%. So they would tariff us, which increases the price of things. So it increases the price of things, and we just don't see it here in our own country. Here we are, we're so worried about the environment in our country, and we're so worried about child labor laws and all of these things. But we're hypocritical that we're buying these junk things from China because we can't see the children being abused,
Right.
or we don't care. Is it racism? Why do we not care about?
We just don't see it. I think most people just have no clue.
They have no clue. They have no clue,
No clue.
that these children and that you can't have freedom of religion, and
Right.
they're ruining the environment. They don't
Well, they
have
kill their own people. They just kill them
well,
off.
there you go. You just hit the main thing is they kill their people, and that's how come they say, oh well. If the tariffs go to 145,
They don't care.
We'll tariff you. Well, they receive food from us, and they don't even care if they go into starvation. They lose 1 million or 10 million people because they're just not concerned about that. They're a little bit more stubborn about the situation.
Yeah. So they're not motivated at all for the welfare of their own people.
No.
Or what it would do to their economy, because they're sitting as fat cats, and
Yeah.
what benefits
And
them?
you can look back in history, and you can see that what they have done,
Yeah.
and they've missed out on the gold. They missed out on the gold reserve currency, and so now they had to run.
Right.
They went with silver. So back when the British and all of that, we were using gold, we went on the gold standard. Well, they were very heavily invested in silver, and so they missed out on that
Oh, my
opportunity.
goodness, really?
That's how come they're so serious about gold this time. They're like, we're not going to make that mistake again. But the mistake that they're making is not realizing how much they need food and energy from other nations. They think they can cut themselves off and just sell trinkets.
Right.
But you see, the people, the laborers throughout the globe, back that dig the gold, that dig the silver and pan for this and make the wheat and the milk, they're saying, hey, we need a system that we can trust.
Right.
And that's how come the whole globe is rallying around a correct new system, which was like a pancake very delicately being flipped. And it's going to be tricky.
It's going to be messy.
Yeah, it's going to be messy.
Possibly.
And Trump said it's going to be some medicine in this. You're going to have some turmoil. And I
Right.
think they're expecting way more turmoil than they're saying. That's how come they've dropped this hint, and they're working towards a $5,000 stimulus check.
Yeah.
And that's in the works. And that may be linked to the new digital currency.
Well, that kind of brings you to my next question.
Okay.
Was why is the Fed refusing to lower interest rates?
Oh my goodness. This is fascinating because there again, it's the bumping of heads. It's the old system and the new system, and the pancake needs to be flipped, and the Feds don't want to give up their power and their control. So it was a very interesting, one of the newspaper people, the journalist, said to Powell, "What if Trump says lower interest rates?" No.
Yeah.
You know,
Real
Frederick.
emphatic.
Yeah, he was just like emphatic. No, he didn't go into an explanation. He just got very emphatic. No. So then another journalist goes over to Trump and says, "Hey, Fed Chair Jerome Powell says no to lowering interest rates if you ask him," and they said, "Well, are you going to fire him?" "Oh, no, no, no. I'm not going to fire him, but he will lower interest rates." You know, Trump was very emphatic about it. So
Yeah.
you see these heads bumping.
And it's really like we were talking, I was asking about this, it's really the globalists against
Yes.
because see, for so long we were saying the world has been profiting off of
Yes.
because we're the number one
Productivity.
productivity and number one consumer.
Yes, yes. And that productivity, go back to China, we were talking about the child labor laws
Yeah.
environment. They've been stealing our intellectual property.
Yes.
So we
Oh my
develop
gosh.
something, we do the R&D and come up with this intellectual property, then we bog it down with regulations and permitting and patents and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, China's already producing that item and already selling it into the market. And we're tied up with regulations
It's
and
all
things, and the
corrupted,
property's been
too.
stolen
Yeah.
from us.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the problem also. You see, if we get onto a fair trade thing,
Yeah.
and also legal, we need legal ramifications. The WTO has protected China
Yeah.
from the legal ramifications of stealing our intellectual property.
They're getting away with a lot.
They've been
aren't
getting
they?
away with absolute murder from, you know, the reserve currency status. And that's how come when we flip this pancake over, we're going to have a new reserve currency in the U.S. And I think it's going to start with the $5,000 stimulus checks. They may be a digital currency. Hey, we got this $5,000. We're going to send it to your phone.
Oh,
Something like that, I'm guessing. I don't know.
that'll, like we've talked before, that'll increase inflation.
It will drive inflation up, but we're also going to be combating that with drill baby drill and dropping all these tariffs.
Yeah.
You see, if you take, you know, 50% off of the cost of everything across the globe,
Yeah.
you're reducing the price of everything.
That's
so then
true.
you can give maybe some inflationary money to people
Yeah.
because we've zeroed out trillions of dollars in inflation, in tariffs.
On tariffs.
So they could, and drill baby drill, which
Yeah.
already you're seeing Saudi Arabia dropping their production.
Yeah.
Because what they want to do is
They want to keep the price.
they want to
up.
put us out of business.
Yeah.
They want to sell it cheaper than we can.
Yeah.
And so that it's not worth it for us to drill. So they're dropping and dropping and dropping production, and you see the price of a barrel of oil dropping and
Yeah.
dropping. And it takes a little tiny bit of time. It'll come into gasoline, and it'll come into the price of the wheat and the corn
Right.
and the
It's-
digging of the silver and the gold, the
We've
labor.
seen it already in gas. It's
Yes,
like
we're
$1
starting to see
cheaper.
a hint, but we're going to see a lot more.
Yeah.
We're going to see
It
a lot
was
more.
at least the one week I get like whatever the
The regular or the high test.
high
or whatever.
test. The go my cart it runs so much better, and it's like $1 cheaper.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So
So
we're seeing some
We're
drill
seeing
baby drill
some.
already.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, there's so much. And then okay, why? My next question is why do we sell it if it's so valuable? People get asked that a lot as a coin dealers.
Oh, yes, yes. Why we sell. It's sort of like a restaurant owner. You know, they have, they buy a big side of beef and they slice it up into 10 slices,
Yeah.
let's say, and they offer these dinner things to everybody with wine. And they say, the restaurant
Yeah.
owner serves it, and you eat it, and you sit back and you say, wow, that was such a fabulous meal. Why would you sell such a fabulous meal like that? Well, they divided it into 10 pieces, and they sold 8, and they kept 2 for themselves. It's the same as the guy who cuts down trees and grinds it up and hauls it off. He
Yeah.
does his labor all week, and then with his extra, he buys a little bit of silver. Well,
Right.
we're doing something that we really super believe in. It's a product that
It
we
is,
believe
yeah.
and study, and we can prove it 5 different ways, 100%. We do videos on that.
Yeah.
And because we believe it so much,
Yeah.
we even have a farm to prepare for some kind of maybe possibly some turmoil as this pancake is being flipped.
Yeah.
And we're out there crawling on the ground, pulling weeds, mending fences, processing animals, hard work.
Bottle
And-
feeding little
Bottle
lambs.
feeding little lambs this morning, yes. Fighting the system for the mastitis medicine that went from
Yeah.
$5 to $400. You know, we're dealing with all these things on this farm,
Yeah.
trying to get it where we believe in what's coming,
Yeah.
that the price of food could go out of whack. Now, we also believe that possibly Trump will be able to do this, and we eat very healthy and very
Yeah.
good food. So.
That's true. And we have.
But okay, so back to the
You've
question.
learned the skills,
You know,
so, yeah.
that we just believe in it, and we're
Right.
selling a product, we super believe in it, and we back up more than 100% by the fact that we do our own farming
That's
to get
true.
prepared.
Yeah.
And we buy gold and silver to get prepared also. And that's
Yeah.
just our belief, and we're wanting to educate you. You make up your own mind
Right.
and decision on
I
what
can't
you're
tell you
thinking.
what to do, but-
No, it's just like what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, what is your prediction for gold then?
Okay,
It's been
so gold,
crazy.
It's been crazy. It's so fun that I just have I'm getting a sixth sense after 15 or 20 years of looking at this, and I just combine everything together. But we talked about way back in September, October that gold would hit 3,000 first quarter of this year, and then it would put in a floor, you know, 31, 31.50, something like that. And it did. I think it hit the 31.75, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we had a major pullback. In the tariffs, the whole market and everything dropped. And people think that gold is subject to the tariff thing and all that. No, gold is doing
Right.
its own thing. It's
Yeah.
not a globalist. You know, go
Right.
back to the digging it out of the ground. It's not connected to that. It's the side of the pancake that's done. You know, and it's time to
That's a
turn it
good way.
over.
Yeah.
And so the gold standard's coming back. And so yes, we had the pullback, and the tariff helped it flush out people. Now it's at 3250, about 33,250, which
Yeah.
I believe it's about to take off. And like I said, 8 months. And I hate to jump the gun, but I think it's going to be less than 8 months. I'm going to stay with my original prediction, 8 months, but I'd like to have a side bet for 6 months. In
Yeah.
fact, there are lots of people on the internet right now talking about call options. So a lot of people who do call options, when it hit 29 in silver or $30 in silver, they all bought calls for September, October.
Now, what does that mean for us?
That means you're betting that it's going to go up.
Okay.
And so it's almost a guarantee. I mean, it's at $29. I mean, just the 10-to-1 correction
Right.
would put it at 300 and some dollars.
Right.
You know, and that's what it comes out of the ground at is 10-to-1. And then the coin dealer has it 15-to-1, because by the time you process and you deal with the weight of the silver, you're going to be 15-to-1 at the coin dealer.
Yeah. Wow. It's just so much right now.
Yeah, a lot of good information.
It is. It's really to see what the Dow is doing and gold. As every day we go, okay, check our phone. What's it say?
Yes, yes. Yeah, because
Get it in the morning.
you just wonder, you know, it's been going almost $100, $100 down, $100
Yes.
almost, you know, these $80, $90 swings each day. It's
Yeah.
just fascinating to watch. But now, keep in mind that gold is not reacting to the tariffs. It's doing its own thing. It's telling you that we have a serious economic crisis.
Yes, because
Outside of
I meant
Trump.
to ask you about the dollar index.
Yes.
We see it going down.
Yes.
It's gone down below 100.
Yes.
It's
The
crazy.
Dixie, which was originally established back in the 70s, you know, when we came off the gold standard, we needed to set up this system where we compared ourselves with other currencies. And we started at 100. And now we're actually below 100, which we've done this, you know, before, go below 100. But it's telling you that the dollar's in trouble.
Well, it's been way above
Yes.
100
Yes,
for the
yes.
last, I don't know how long.
Yeah,
I mean,
107, I think, or 18,
was the
108.
highest. But
yeah.
it's been about 103 lately, 102, and now it's below
Which is a
100.
lot. You think 1 or 2 is no big deal. That's a lot in Dixie
Yeah.
terms, because you're talking about derivatives, which you start to talk about the derivative market and lots of other things. But let's just look at the derivatives. It's 2.5 quadrillion. That's
can't-
$2,500 trillion of bets that have been placed and around the world, that global system. And as you see the Fed and Trump butting heads
Yeah.
about the interest rates,
Yeah.
that puts the dollar at risk. And as the dollar drops more, it puts pressure on gold and silver to rise, because it's the laborer saying, I want fair value.
Wow.
The laborers of the digging and the panning and the processing of the cow and the milking the cow, all those people are saying, I want fair value for my
Right.
time, my labor. And that's why we're pushing back to fair value.
Wow. It is so complicated.
It is. And you
Trying
can
to
go
wrap
into
my
the
head around
woods
it's just
so
too much.
easily.
Yeah.
You know, and you
It's-
can get so caught up in economic terms and economic descriptions and all
Yeah.
that these economists use, and it gets very hard to understand. We're trying to make it simple, cut and dry, so that you
Yeah.
can make
Make your own
decisions on your
decisions.
own.
And the
Make it
main
elementary.
thing is pray and obey.
Yes. Pray, obey, and understand.
And see what the Lord's telling you. We can't tell people what to do, but you
Right,
pray and
right. Good
obey.
stuff.
Anyway.
Thank you, everybody. Be
Blessings.
blessed. Enjoy the day.
Bye-bye.